Alrighty, I promised you a video follow-up on the Western Electric Data Precision Miniature Tri-Phasic Digital Multimeter. And I had posted a video that I got it working, put a new battery pack in it, NiCad battery pack, replacing the old corroded NiCads, and was able to fire it up and all of that. But I wasn't able to calibrate the voltage. The pod in the back of the set wasn't able, I couldn't adjust it far enough to get this to match up with any source on my bench, any other meter on the bench. And so, let me see if I can get that to where you can actually see it. Yeah, that's a little better. And this is a super cheap meter. I think they're like 20 bucks or whatever. So obviously I wasn't trying to get a lab standard. What I was trying to do to get it to match something that was close to accurate on the bench. I have another meter up here. See, well, it's going to try to track to the meter on the bench. So let me see if I can move the camera. There we go. Yeah, the 10 meter is running and connected to the voltage source, which is right there. So I'm running at about 0.8 volt, as you can see, and the 10 meter is reading a 0.86. And then when we get down here to the meter in question, we can see that it's reading 0.86 as well. 0.802, 0.8601, somewhere in there. So, and we're pretty consistent with this here. So I was able to get this to adjust and down to where I have a comparative standard for all the meters on the bench, which I'm very pleased that it can actually give me a pretty good reading. I'm going to bump it up to crank the voltage up here to about 11 volts. All of my meters are reading 11.66 and some change. So obviously I'm not going to be working on anything on this bench that is going to require super high precision. You can see the old Philco 17er there in the background. It is not at all concerned about voltages at that precision. Even for alignment purposes, we're not going to be working with this level of precision. But the point was, you hate to have something that you can't adjust to even get it within a tenth or so of all your other meters. So obviously we've got that now, even though I've got a super cheap meter here, and the 10 up above that you just saw is not all that expensive. It's a couple $100, I guess. I do have a Beckman somewhere, super high precision Beckman, that I used when I was working on copiers 30 years ago. And I don't know where it is, and it's probably out of calibration by now too. I do have my scope hooked up. I can give you a quick look at the scope. If I can double tap it here to get the scope up. There we go. And you can see the voltage readings there if they'll come into focus. We're at 11.6 volts, which is what we were reading just a second ago. Here it's reading 11.4 to 11.8 where it settled down, but 11.6, which is what our Tenma is reading, and these other two meters. So the advice that I had received from a YouTube viewer was to take the thing apart, wash both sides of the circuit board really well, and then in addition to that, I sprayed both pots, although they are somewhat sealed pots, with deoxit, and worked them back and forth a whole bunch. And now we're able to get the voltage down to a reasonable level. So I just killed the meter. We'll just watch what happens here and see what occurs with the low voltage setting. We're on 10 volts now. Let's drop it down to 0. It's going to take a while for those caps to discharge, of course. And eventually there will be stray voltage on the leads, AC, and then probably something in here will rectify some of that, and we'll still pick up just a little bit of voltage. I'll tell you what, let's just unplug the meter leads altogether, and let's just see where it settles without any leads hooked up to it. So it's picking up some noise, as you can see, picking up a little noise, and with no leads hooked up to the meter, we're getting that. I'm curious what would happen if we just connected these leads together, if that would come down to close to 0. And you can see that it is pretty close. So there we have it. Hope you enjoyed the little look at what the little data precision miniature triphasic digital multimeter made by Western Electric Company in 1980. Thank you for your comments and for your subscriptions.